Greetings and great day, beautiful people. Dr. Dominique Reese here, CEO of Reese Financial Services, where I'm the Chief Financial Coach, Consultant, and Planner. And I am looking forward to sharing with you today 3 barriers to savings that most women experience in their financial life. Now, this is important because it's the top of the year and we really want to be able to put our money in places where it can work for us. I work hard for my money. I think you do too. And we can get the money in, but then it's where do we put it, right? And so I am excited to share with you in a series of videos, not only where you can put your money to make it work best for you, but also to share with you some of these barriers so that you're informed. And when you're informed, you now can take action on that information. So let's dive right in. The first barrier that most women experience when saving in their financial life is the wage gap. Now, this is really institutional. There are things that we can do to combat wage gap, and a lot of it is going to be through policy. It's really advocating that we deserve to be paid the same as anybody else. Like, it's 2024. Nevertheless, studies still show, and based on whatever study you want to go out there and find, but studies still show that women are making about 80 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Now, that's a 20-cent wage gap. So, I mean, even that right there, just how much we're making is a barrier to us saving. Now, that's really before we even get the money, right? But once we get the money, there's 2 other barriers that we have to combat. The second is going to be living longer. What a blessing. Most women actually live longer than men. So when we think about our savings, particularly saving for retirement, you've got to now think about this, and I'm going to get just a little technical because the planner hat is coming on now. There are 2 terms that we use in our industry. You may not necessarily use this, but as a financial practitioner and a financial planner, we use a term called work life expectancy and retirement life expectancy. Work life expectancy is all about how many years do you expect to work? What is the expectancy of your working life? Then you have your retirement life expectancy. How many years do you expect to be in retirement, essentially before you die? Because that's what retirement is about. It's about creating money for the future so that you can live off of that money until you die. Put plainly, right? There's no way around it. We're all going to go. But when we're planning our finances in the retirement phase of our life, that's what we're planning for. How long does this money need to last? Now, if you look at your family's history and when most of the women in your family pass away, that can be somewhat of an indicator. But the other piece to that is actually calculating. All right, if I want to retire at 65, I think I'm going to live to 95. That's 30 years. So you may plan for 30 years to be in retirement, but what if you live to 98? What if you live to 100? That's 5 years beyond what you've planned for. So that actually becomes a barrier to us saving. The fact that we're living longer means that we now have a longer retirement life expectancy that very well may go beyond what we've planned. Now, everything in divine order. I love being a woman of faith. I love being a woman of God because you can get some divine understanding here. But at the same time, we are going to do our best to prepare ourselves. But that is something that we want to keep in mind. You may think it's sufficient to plan until 95, but maybe it's better and the safer route to plan to 100. Now, there's some implications of that too, because now you probably have to work longer, right? So now your work life expectancy might actually increase because you may retire later so that you can accumulate more funds. This is what we do in financial planning. This is how I help my clients, because you're not necessarily thinking about your work life expectancy, your retirement life expectancy, but guess what? I am, which is why I'm doing this educational video. Because I need you to understand what I'm thinking about when I talk retirement. These are just some of the factors, okay? And again, this was specific to a retirement example. Even outside of retirement, living longer, what does that mean? Well, if you're living longer, you're doing more. So in doing more, you may need more funds for healthcare. So your healthcare savings is also a thing now. You may want to travel more. So now your traveling funds need to be up. All of the things are impacted if you live longer. So it's not just retirement funds, even though the retirement funds essentially are to fund your lifestyle. You still want to think about what that actually means, which for me takes it back to, what does retirement mean to you? Okay. And then that third barrier to savings that most women experience in their financial life is going to be higher retirement costs. And again, it's kind of related to the first two because we're living longer. So ultimately, we have higher costs, which means you got to save more. The other thing that I find a lot of the women that I serve are managing is that they're kind of that sandwich generation, right? So they're taking care of their children if they're mothers, but they're also taking care of their parents or maybe close family whom they care about. And so they're in the middle caring for people that they love. A lot of women are caregivers. I like to think of the women that I serve as caregivers, breadwinners, and wealth builders. While we don't go around labeling ourselves that way, when it boils down to the language, we're caring for people a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, we're caring for people who had not sufficiently and properly planned for their care. So you may be coming out of the pocket to care for your children and your parents at the same time, right? So these are also some of those ancillary costs that you may not be thinking about right now, but I know I am. How old am I? I'm 39. I'll be 40 this year. And I'm the oldest sibling. I don't have any brothers, just three of us girls. I will be responsible for some of the care for my mom. I mean, I do certain things now, and I also contribute to the care of my grandfather. So we're doing it, y'all. Like, it's happening right now, even at the tender age of 39, right? And I have a 9-year-old son. So for me, I get it. Taking care of a kid, a child, and taking care of parents, grandparents, loved ones. A lot of us are doing it, and we're doing it with our money. So retirement costs can be higher for us, which ultimately means we've got to put away more. So again, when you're already not getting paid what you should be compared to others, when you're living longer, so you've got to save longer, and then you have higher costs, these can be barriers to our saving, which is why we really need to learn how to maximize our savings this year and every year thereafter. But particularly this year, because it's the top of the year, let's learn what we need to learn so we get on track right now. All right. So, 3 barriers that most women typically experience in their financial life when saving are going to be the wage gap, living longer, and higher retirement costs. So, take that information, apply it to your personal situation, and think about the conversations that you might need to be having. Think about the conversations that you might need to have with a financial professional because that's all it is. It's a conversation. And once you get the conversation going, then that's going to take it to the next step. What does this look like practically? What should I be doing? Now it's time to take action. And some of this you very well may be able to do on your own. Some of it you're going to need a professional's support. So if you find yourself in the former, where you may need a professional's support, go ahead and reach out to me. I would love to be a resource. I'd be honored and privileged to hear your situation, let you know what I think professionally, and then if it makes sense for us to move forward and work together, I'll share with you what that might look like. And if it's not me, it needs to be someone else with whom you can trust, feel comfortable with, and really be transparent about sharing what you think these barriers are going to do and how they're going to play out in your financial situation. Okay? So that's all I got for you. Dr. Dominique Reese here. I hope this was food for thought. I hope this gives you something to consider as the weekend approaches and as you're building. It's early in the year. Let's get this build going and let's maximize our savings in 2024. All right. Talk to you soon. Peace. Oh, and you know what? Like this video if you liked what you heard. I have to remind myself to start doing that. I just enjoy giving the value, but I'm gonna need you to do something for me too. Go ahead and like that video if you enjoyed what you heard. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you would like to hear more. All right, peace.